What's up, everybody? Brothers, sisters, psychonauts, and seekers of truth. It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today, I have a 2C-EF trip report for you. The title of this trip report is Smooth as Silk and Warm Like Sunshine, and was submitted to Erowid in 2019 by the user Zorkoth. With all that being said, let our story begin. I've been interested in 2C-EF ever since our dear Fast and Bulbous synthesized it, and a few reports got out that seemed to paint an amazingly positive picture. Recently, I discovered that it had been made available. So, shameless drug collector and collector of experiences that I am, I had to get some. What follows is my first trial, which I intended to be just a low dose to test for a bad reaction. But that turned into more, due to how nice the initial dose was. 2:45 p.m. T plus 0. Ingested about 3 milligrams orally. Interesting taste. More complex than the other 2Cs, and less bitter. Very clumpy, slightly off-white. My mood is slightly down. I'm a bit worn down from recent activities and feeling a tiny bit anxious. 3:40 p.m. 55 minutes in. It is undeniably present. In fact, quite quickly. Within 15 or 20 minutes, I'd say, I felt it wash over me. My girlfriend and I went to the store to get stuff for a 4th of July party that we're hosting at my house, right after I took it. The feeling is incredibly smooth and lovely. A very euphoric body sensation. My mind feels loose and my mood is wonderful. This is rather subtle, but 100% lovely with no sharp edges at all. Colors are saturated a bit, but no visuals yet. Although this is said to be more potent than 2CE, I must say that a 3 milligram dose of 2CE would be much more psychological right now, and would probably involve some amount of physical weirdness. I think the nature of the two drugs is quite different. I think I'm going to plug 3 milligrams more sometime soon, as I believe this will go quite well socially with my party. I'll probably wait until 4:30 though. 4 p.m., an hour and 15 minutes in. It has become somewhat stronger. My sense of equilibrium is slightly off. 4:15, an hour and 30 minutes in. I weighed out another 3 milligrams of 2C-EF to prepare it for plugging. It's a damnably hard powder to weigh as it is so clumpy. Eyeballing it would be impossible. It comes out of the vial in chunks, and a single tiny chunk weighed like 8 milligrams, so I had to pick some of it off with tweezers. The thing is, it's not in solid crystals. It just clumps together like crazy. I decided to also take 25 milligrams of 2-FMA orally. It muddies the trial a bit, but I need to clear my bowels, and, well, I just want to. And 2-FMA is pretty transparent, and I've been doing it daily for a couple of days. When I do a full dose, I will certainly keep it to just 2C-EF. But I'm having a party, and I want the extra energy as well. Waiting for my girl to finish showering, and then I will plug this and take a shower. Still feeling quite wonderful, and there is a hint of movement in the corners of my vision even on just 3 milligrams orally. I'm excited to see what 3 milligrams rectal adds to the mix. 5 p.m., 2 hours and 15 minutes in. I plugged 3 milligrams more about 15 or 20 minutes ago. While I was in the shower, I closed my eyes, and I seemed to be seeing a gargantuan machine, somewhat organic rather than mechanical in its shapes. There were no colors, just shapes. It was moving in complex ways, with parts spinning around each other in many layers, moving farther and farther away from me. It didn't seem to have any meaning to me, but it was fascinating. This drug is incredibly smooth. It's like you just suddenly come up. There's no real transition. Right now, things are moving a bit in my vision. The letters on my keyboard are slightly crawling, but it's subtle. My body still feels very good. I notice a definite impairment of my motor skills. Typing this entry is more difficult than usual. I am missing keys quite a bit more often than I usually do, and have to go back and fix things. 2 hours and 25 minutes in, 5:10 p.m. I am doing chores around the house to prepare for the party. I feel very motivated and everything is fun. One thing I had to do was move a couple of big logs that a bear had knocked down into our path leading to the back door. I picked up the logs without feeling like I was expending any effort at all, and threw them far up the hill. I felt very powerful in that moment. This drug is difficult to characterize. I am very intrigued to take a full dose. I'll probably just jump right into 12 milligrams, as there is absolutely no feeling of discomfort or unease. My vision is doing a strange thing where it's not crawling or morphing. It's like suddenly everything seems rearranged, and then it snaps back into place. Like when I'm looking at my keyboard and typing, sometimes the letters spread apart for a second. It's odd. I haven't experienced visual effects quite like this before. My body feels really wonderful. There is a coursing feeling of pleasure through my torso and extremities, especially my hands. I could see this being very pro-erotic, though I'm not focused on that at all. I think, though, if the opportunity presented itself, I could get very, very into it. The feeling actually reminds me a little bit of the post-orgasm glow, now that I think about it. Wonderful. 5:30 p.m., 2 hours and 45 minutes in. Decided to snort 2 milligrams as I want a little more. It doesn't really hurt because it was such a tiny amount, but there is definitely that lingering slow burn of the snorted 2Cs. There is no sting, just a slow burn that is more bearable by far than even snorting a tiny bit of 2CB, or 2CC, or 2CI, or 2CT2. Those are the other 2Cs I have snorted before. So far, the feeling is just growing. To be honest, I feel a little Moorish about it, which is why I snorted 2 milligrams. It just feels so good. So far, there isn't much going on mentally except a really good mood. The visual effect is strange. It's not like 2CB or 2CC, that Persian rug effect. It's more like after images of what I just saw are superimposed over what I'm looking at. It gives things a three-dimensional quality. I felt like I could see into the wall I was looking at, as if the wall is made of layers on top of layers, and as I stare into them, I see deeper and deeper. 5:50 p.m., 3 hours and 5 minutes in. It has gotten stronger for sure. Everything I look at seems to be multi-layered, and there is a feeling or sensation that it's filled to bursting with energy or something. Everything is humming, including me. When I close my eyes, I am immersed in a cacophony of moving parts of that same vast machine. I move through them without attempting to guide where I'm going, and I feel a sense of motion along with it. This feels somewhat hypnotic. Very interesting drug. As I stare at the white part of my computer screen, fractal patterns start to emerge faintly and crawl around, reminiscent of 2C-E. 6:15, 3 hours and 30 minutes in. I was just out harvesting fresh wine berries, an amazing type of raspberry that is only invasive species around here that I fully support. It felt like quite an adventure. My coordination is not off exactly, but I have to put thought into it. My movement autopilot is not fully online. I ended up with a large bowl full of berries. There were a bunch of little insects that were swarming me. They seemed pissed. It occurred to me that I was probably taking their food source. They might die because of me. I probably squashed a bunch of tiny things on the ground and didn't even know it. Life is kinda brutal, but also gloriously beautiful. Right now, everything is humming and vibrating with life, and I feel very content. My friends are delayed until at least 7 o'clock now, and we have all the food stuff laid out, so now what? I suppose I'll type, or maybe go kiss my girl, or snuggle my cat. It doesn't matter, because it's all perfect. 6:45 p.m., 4 hours in. More of the same. I feel very sociable, kind of inebriated in a strange way, but it's like I said before. I think it's because my autopilot is not fully functional. I'm having a good time alternating between posting on blue light, talking to my girlfriend, and texting with my friend who's on his way. Everything about this is so nice, so peaceful, serene. It seems as if everything is in its right place. I can see a large dose of this being something very special. This is a warm, loving molecule. It feels better in the body than even 2CB. It's also quite different from 2CB, and very different from 2CE. For some reason, even though it is almost 2CE. Certain kinds of textures and colors seem to be crawling with fractals, which is really the only aspect of it that reminds me of 2CE. After this point, my friends arrived and I stopped taking notes. As it was a 4th of July party, I started drinking. Socialization was very easy, easier than it would be on most other things that I was high on. As the night wore on, the visuals built more until everything was waving and morphing a little bit. And whenever I stared at anything, its texture seemed to start to unravel and become three-dimensional. I had a lot of interesting thoughts, including some moments of personal clarity on certain matters which reminded me a lot of how 2CC is for me, warmly introspective about myself and my personality. I won't try to describe the events of the party because it was just a whole bunch of really fun, nice moments that won't mean anything to anyone but me. At about midnight, which was about 6.5 hours after the last dose, my pupils were still pretty large and I was definitely tripping. In fact, everyone leaving at the same time made me feel a sense of loss. And for about 20 minutes, I actually felt kind of awkward with it being just me and my girlfriend. I'm not sure why. I think it's because for hours I had been flitting around between people. She wanted to go to bed, and I tried, but I was quite awake. So I stayed up and read a book. I recently started reading until 3:30 a.m. I probably could have gone to bed before then, but I got pretty into the book. By about 2:30, I realized I had drank 12 5% alcohol drinks, which is quite a lot. Physically, I felt pretty drunk, but mentally, I felt all there, which was unusual and which I attribute to the 2C-EF. So, that was my first 2C-EF experience. I felt like trying it for the party, and because of other substances, it perhaps wasn't the clearest red on it. But next time I will definitely take a big dose and not add anything else to it. I really enjoyed the experience. During parts of it, I felt so good and felt so happy that I could have cried. It's pretty unique. It feels much lighter on the body than any other 2C I have tried. It's very physically euphoric, more so than 2CB, yet also quite transparent feeling. The visuals, though they clearly could get stronger, reminded me somewhat of 2CE, but were also unique. They were more like 2CE than anything else, probably. It was a very emotional state, as opposed to the emotional neutrality of 2CE. I'm pretty sure it will never be anywhere near the psychological intensity or style of 2CE. 2CE has this depth and seriousness to it, the ability to totally bring you out of your comfort zone that very few other psychedelics have. 2C-EF felt very at home in my body and brain. I was very much in my comfort zone, and I liked that. I look forward to future trials, which I will conduct in a more focused setting. Alright, everybody. That is the end of our story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Share with us your 2C-EF experiences down in the comments below. Check out the other playlists on my channel, and I will see you in the next one, fam. Deuces.